Emperor Thexmar stood on the command deck of his flagship, looking out at the stars. His purple skin gleamed under the bright lights of the ship. He was the ruler of 300 star systems, and today he would add one more to his collection. The humans on the small blue planet called Earth would bow to him, just like all the others. "My lord," said his advisor, bowing low. "The reports about the humans are ready." Thexmar waved his hand without looking back. "I do not need reports about primitives. They have no real weapons, they have no shields, they barely left their own planet. This will be easier than taking candy from a child." On Earth, Admiral Jin Ho sat in a meeting room deep underground. The room was filled with the best military minds from every country on the planet. Maps covered the walls, showing the positions of ships in space. Red dots marked the enemy fleet getting closer each day. "They think we are weak," Jin Ho said, his voice calm but serious. "They think we cannot fight back. They are wrong." Dr. Heejin stood up from her seat. She was a small woman with tired eyes, but her mind was sharp as a knife. "The new weapons are ready, Admiral. We have been preparing for this day for 100 years. Jin Ho nodded. "Tell me about our ships." "We have 300 vessels, ready for combat," said Commander Boram. She was young, but had trained her whole life for this moment. "The pilots know their jobs. We have been studying alien technology since the first crash in 1947. We learned from every piece of metal, every broken computer chip." In space, the Valaxian fleet moved forward like a slow storm cloud. 50 massive ships, each one bigger than a city block. Their hulls were dark metal that seemed to eat light. Energy weapons lined their sides like teeth in a giant mouth. The ships had destroyed entire worlds before. The captains expected this to be just another easy day. Sub-Admiral Vextar commanded the advance fleet. He was old and had conquered 20 planets for the Empire. His yellow eyes looked at the small blue world ahead. "Signal the planet," he ordered. "Give them the standard message." The communication officer pressed buttons on his control panel. A message shot through space toward Earth in every language the Empire knew. "People of Earth, you will surrender now. You have 72 hours to give up all weapons and accept Imperial rule. If you refuse, we will destroy your cities and take your planet by force. This message is your only warning." On Earth, the message played in the war room. Jin Ho listened without showing any emotion on his face. Around the table, generals and scientists waited for his response. 72 hours, Jin Ho said quietly. "They are very generous." Dr. Hyjin smiled for the first time in weeks. "That gives us time to move our ships into position." "What about the people?" asked General Sunho. "Should we tell them what is coming?" Jin Ho shook his head. "The governments will tell their people what they need to know. Our job is to make sure those people have a planet to live on when this is over." Commander Boram studied the images of the alien ships on the main screen. "They are not even trying to hide. Look at this. Shields down, weapons on low power. They think this is a parade, not a battle." "Good," said Jin Ho. "Let them think that." High, above Earth, hidden ships floated in the darkness. They looked like pieces of space rock, but inside each one, human crews waited and watched. The ships used technology that made them invisible to alien sensors. For 50 years, Earth's best scientists had worked on these vessels. They studied every crashed alien ship, every broken piece of enemy equipment. They learned how the enemy thought, how they fought, how they could be beaten. Captain Do-hyun commanded one of the hidden ships. His vessel was small but deadly, filled with weapons the aliens had never seen before. He watched the enemy fleet through his sensors and counted their ships. 50 vessels, he said to his crew. Just like our report said they would send. Lieutenant Yuna sat at the communication station. She had studied alien languages her whole life. "Should I answer their message, Captain?" "Not yet. Let them. Wait. Let them wonder why we are so quiet." In the engine room, Engineer Teho checked the ship's systems one more time. The cloaking device was working perfectly. The weapons were ready. The engines could push the ship faster than anything the aliens had ever seen. "All systems green, Captain," he reported. Back on the Valaxian flagship, Sub-Admiral Vextar was starting to feel annoyed. Most planets answered their surrender demand within hours. Some begged for mercy, others tried to negotiate. But Earth was completely silent. "Are you sure they received our message?" he asked. "Yes, sir. We sent it on all frequencies. They heard us." Vextar drummed his claws on his command chair. "Maybe they are too frightened to respond, or too stupid to understand." Earth Jinho walked through the underground base where humanity's best weapons waited. Technicians ran final checks on missiles that could track their targets through hyperspace. Engineers tested energy shields that could stop any known alien weapon. Pilots climbed into fighters designed to move like lightning and strike like thunder. "Remember," Jinho told his officers, "we fight not just for Earth but for every world the Empire has destroyed. We fight for every species they have enslaved. Today, the galaxy learns that some people will not bow down." Dr. Hyejin activated the final weapons systems. Quantum computers came online, calculating flight paths and targeting solutions faster than any alien mind could follow. "Admiral, all weapons are ready. All ships are in position. We are ready to show them what humans can do." The alien fleet continued its slow approach toward Earth. In their arrogance, they saw no danger. They had done this so many times before. Every planet eventually surrendered. Every species eventually bowed to imperial might. But Earth was different. Earth had been preparing. Earth had been learning. Earth had been waiting for this moment for 100 years. Commander Boram strapped herself into her fighter cockpit. Around her, hundreds of other pilots did the same. They had trained for this their entire lives. They knew the enemy ships better than the enemy knew them. They were ready to defend their home. "All pilots," Boram said into her radio, "remember your training. Remember your families. Remember that today we make history." In space, the alien fleet moved closer. Soon they would be in range of Earth's defenses. Soon they would discover that humanity was not as helpless as they thought. Jinho stood in the command center, watching the enemy ships approach on the main screen. His finger rested on a button that would begin the battle. Around him, his officers waited for the order that would change everything. "Today," Jinho said quietly, "the Empire learns that Earth is not just another planet to conquer. Today they learn what happens when you threaten humanity's home." The countdown began. In space, the alien ships came closer and closer. They expected an easy victory. They expected surrender and submission. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The Valaxian scout fleet reached the edge of the solar system like a pack of wolves entering what they thought was an empty forest. Sub-Admiral Vextar stood on his bridge, looking at the screens that showed nothing but empty space and distant planets. "Where are their ships?" he asked his sensor officer. "Every planet has ships to defend it. Where are the human vessels?" The sensor officer checked his equipment twice. "Sir, I detect no military ships, no weapons platforms, no defense stations. The space around their planet is completely empty." Vexatar laughed. "Even more pathetic than we thought. They have no military at all. This will be the easiest conquest in Imperial history." But the space around Earth was not empty. Captain Do Hyun floated in his stealth ship only 10 kilometers from the alien flagship. His crew was completely silent, watching the enemy through sensors that the aliens could not detect. "They cannot see us," whispered Lieutenant Yuna. "Their technology is 100 years behind ours." Engineer Tae-ho monitored the cloaking system. "The stealth field is perfect. Captain, we are invisible to them." Do-hyun smiled. "Good. Let them think they are alone out here." All around the solar system, hidden human ships waited in the darkness. Some looked like asteroids, others like pieces of space junk. The aliens sailed past them without knowing that death floated just meters away. On the Valaxian flagship, Vextar grew impatient. 3 days had passed since they sent their surrender demand. Most planets gave up within hours. The silence from Earth was starting to worry him. "Send the message again," he ordered. "Tell them they have 6 hours left to surrender." The communication officer sent the same demand toward Earth. This time, something different happened. A voice answered in perfect Valaxian language. Lieutenant Yuna spoke slowly and clearly. "This is Earth Defense Command. You have entered Terran space without permission. Leave now or face the consequences. This is your only warning." The bridge of the Valaxian ship went completely quiet. No primitive planet had ever given the Empire a warning before. No species had ever told the mighty Valaxian fleet to leave. Vexistar's face turned dark with anger. How dare they? How dare a primitive species threaten the Imperial Navy? His tactical officer leaned forward. "Sir, should we respond?" "Yes, we." "Respond," Vextar said, his voice full of rage. "We show them what happens when someone threatens the Empire. Target their largest moon. Prepare the main weapon." On Earth, Admiral Jinho watched the alien ship charge its weapon. "They are going to destroy Pluto's moon. They want to scare us." Dr. Haijin checked her computers. "All ships are ready, Admiral. The quantum torpedoes are armed and targeted." Jinho spoke into his communicator. "All ships, this is Admiral Jinho. The enemy has shown their true nature. They would destroy our worlds to make a point. Today we show them that humans protect what is ours. Attack." In space, Captain Dohyun received the attack order. "All crew battle stations, today we make history." The alien weapon finished charging. A massive beam of energy shot toward Pluto's moon. But before it could reach its target, something impossible happened. Captain Dohyun's ship appeared from nothing, right beside the Valaxian flagship. Then another ship appeared. Then another. In seconds, 50 human vessels surrounded the alien fleet like a closing fist. "Impossible," shouted Vextar. "Where did they come from?" His sensor officer stared at his screen. "Sir, they just appeared. Our sensors never detected them. It is like they were invisible." The human ships were smaller than the alien vessels, but they moved like hunting sharks. Their weapons charged with a sound that made the aliens afraid. Do-Hyun spoke into his radio. "Alien fleet, you came here to destroy our home. Now you will learn what happens when you threaten Earth." The first quantum torpedo hit the alien flagship before Vextar could give any orders. The weapon passed through their shields like they were made of paper. The explosion tore a hole in the side of the ship the size of a building. "Shields failed," screamed the defensive officer. "The torpedo went right through them." Dr. Haijin had designed the torpedoes to do exactly that. She had studied alien shield technology for 30 years. She knew how to make weapons that their defenses could not stop. More torpedoes struck the alien ships. Each one found its target with perfect accuracy. The aliens tried to return fire, but the human ships moved too fast. They appeared from nowhere, fired their weapons, and vanished again. Engineer Taeho pushed the ship's engines to full power. The vessel moved faster than the aliens thought possible. Their targeting computers could not keep up with the human ships. "Their weapons cannot hit us," he reported to Captain Do-Hyun. "We are too fast for them." Lieutenant Yuna intercepted the alien communications. "Captain, they are trying to call for help. Should I block their signals?" "No," said Do-Hyun. Let them call. Let the Empire know what happened here." The battle lasted only 30 minutes. When it ended, the alien flagship was destroyed. 12 escort ships floated dead in space. The rest of the alien fleet tried to escape, but they learned something terrible about human weapons. The quantum torpedoes could follow ships even when they jumped to hyperspace. The fleeing aliens thought they were safe when they activated their faster-than-light drives. They were wrong. On the bridge of his crippled ship, Sub-Admiral Vextar watched his fleet disappear one by one. Ships that had jumped away exploded in distant space as the human torpedoes found them. "How is this possible?" he whispered. "No weapon can track through hyperspace." Dr. Haijin had made it possible. Her quantum-entangled guidance system meant that once a torpedo locked onto a target, distance meant nothing. Space meant nothing. The weapon would follow its target anywhere in the galaxy. Only 3 alien ships escaped. They limped back toward Imperial space, carrying news that would terrify the Empire. The humans were not primitive. They were not weak. They had weapons that could destroy the mightiest Imperial fleet. Captain Do-Hyun watched the alien survivors flee. "Should we follow them, Admiral?" Jinho's voice came through the radio. No, let them go. Let them tell their emperor what they saw here. Let them tell him that Earth is ready for war. The human fleet regrouped around Earth. Soldiers cheered on every ship. They had faced the mighty Imperial Navy and won. They had protected their home. But Admiral Jinho did not celebrate. He knew this was only the beginning. The Empire would not accept this defeat. They would send more ships. They would send bigger weapons. They would send everything they had. Dr. Hyojin, he said, how long until they come back? The scientist looked at her calculations. Based on Imperial military doctrine, they will send a full battle fleet. 3 to 6 months to organize and travel here. Then we have 3 months to get ready for a real fight, Jinho said. This was just their advanced scouts. Next time, they will bring their entire fleet. Commander Boram landed her fighter on the main carrier. She had not fired a shot in the battle, but she was ready for the next one. Admiral, what are your orders? We prepare, Jinho said. We build more ships, we make more weapons, and we get ready to show the Empire that humanity will never surrender. In space, the wreckage of alien ships floated around Earth like a warning to the galaxy. The message was clear. Earth was defended. Humanity was ready to fight, and anyone who threatened their home would pay the price. The first battle was over. Humanity had won. But the war was just beginning. Sub-Admiral Vextar sat in his damaged ship, sending his report to the Emperor. His hands shook as he typed the words that would change the galaxy forever. The humans are not primitive. They have technology we do not understand. They have weapons that can destroy our ships. The invasion has failed. Request immediate reinforcements. The message traveled through space toward the Imperial capital. Soon the Emperor would read it. Soon the Empire would learn that for the first time in 1,000 years someone had fought back and won. Earth waited for their response. Emperor Thexmar read the report from Sub-Admiral Vextar 3 times before he believed it. His claws dug into his throne as rage filled his mind. In 1,000 years of Imperial expansion, no primitive world had ever destroyed his ships. 50. Ships destroyed by primitives? He roared. This is impossible. His military advisor, Grand Admiral Kixmore, bowed low. My lord, the survivors all tell the same story. The humans have weapons we have never seen before. They appeared from nowhere and struck without warning. Thexmar stood up, his purple skin dark with anger. I do not care what weapons they have. I do not care how they fight. No primitive species defies the Empire and lives. Assemble the 3rd Imperial Fleet. Kixmore felt fear in his stomach. The 3rd Fleet was the Empire's largest battle force. Over 2,000 ships of war. It had destroyed entire star systems that dared to rebel against Imperial rule. My lord, surely that is too much force for one small planet? Too much? Thexmar laughed, but there was no humor in the sound. I will turn their world into molten rock. I will make their star system a graveyard. Every species in the galaxy will see what happens when someone fights the Empire. On Earth, Admiral Jinho stood in the war room looking at pictures from spy satellites. The images showed the largest fleet anyone had ever seen gathering in Imperial space. Thousands of ships, each one bigger and more dangerous than the scouts they had already defeated. 2,014 ships, reported intelligence, Officer Sang-woo. Every type of warship the Empire has, they are bringing everything. General Sunho studied the fleet composition. They have dreadnoughts that can crack a planet in half, battle cruisers that can destroy our moon. This is not a conquest fleet. This is an extermination fleet. Jinho nodded slowly. They want to make an example of us. They want to show the galaxy what happens when someone says no to the Empire. Dr. Hyojin walked into the room carrying a tablet full of data. Admiral, our preparations are complete. Operation Hornet's Nest is ready. Tell me about our defenses, Jinho said. Dr. Hyojin activated the main screen. It showed the solar system, but now it looked very different. Red dots marked hidden weapons, platforms throughout the asteroid belt. Blue dots showed concealed defense stations near every planet. Green dots indicated the positions of the human fleet. We have turned the entire solar system into a trap, she explained. When they arrive, they will think they see an easy target. They will not know about the weapons platforms hidden in the asteroids. They will not know about the shield generators we built inside the moons. They will not know that every piece of space junk is actually a weapon waiting to fire. Captain Yoon-jung commanded the asteroid belt defenses. She had spent 3 months disguising massive guns as mining equipment. Railguns that could punch through the heaviest armor looked like ore processing plants. Missile launchers were hidden inside fake storage containers. The aliens will see mining stations and cargo haulers, Yoon-jung explained to her crews. They will not see the weapons until we start shooting. By then it will be too late. Dr. Jaemin had solved the biggest problem of all. The Imperial ships had shields that could stop any normal weapon. But Jaemin was not normal. He was a genius who had studied alien technology for 40 years. Their shields work by vibrating at a specific frequency, he told the engineering teams. I have built weapons that vibrate at the exact opposite frequency. When our beams hit their shields, the shield energy will cancel out completely. Commander Wu Jin tested the new weapons on captured alien technology. The results were perfect. Human energy beams passed through Imperial shields like they were not there at all. It works, he reported to Admiral Jinho. Their best defenses are useless against us. The Third Imperial Fleet began its journey toward Earth. Grand Admiral Kixmore commanded from the flagship Imperial Wrath, a ship so large it had its own gravity. Around him sailed the pride of the Imperial Navy, ships that had never known defeat, weapons that had destroyed 100 worlds. How long until we reach the human system? Kixmore asked his navigator. 3 weeks, sir. The fleet will arrive, in perfect formation. Kixmore smiled. 3 weeks until we show the galaxy that the Empire cannot be defeated. On Earth, the final preparations continued day and night. Hidden factories worked without stopping to build ammunition. Shipyards completed the last human warships. Soldiers trained for the battle that would decide the fate of their species. Colonel Han Newell drilled her ground forces even though they might never see combat. If their ships get through our defenses, you are the last line, she told her troops. You are what stands between the aliens and our families. Ambassador Mincio worked with governments around the world to keep the population calm. Most people knew that aliens were coming, but they did not know how powerful the enemy was. She did not tell them about the 2,000 ships. She did not tell them that the Empire wanted to destroy Earth completely. Tell the people that our military is ready, she instructed the world leaders. Tell them that Earth will be defended. Do not tell them that we might lose. The Imperial fleet jumped out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system like a storm cloud blotting out the sun. 2,000 ships in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming with weapons. Energy discharges from their engines lit up space for millions of kilometers. Grand Admiral Kixmore stood on his bridge and looked at the small blue planet in the distance. So this is the world that dared to fight the Empire. It looks so peaceful, so innocent. His tactical officer scanned the human defenses. Sir, I detect approximately 300 human ships near their planet. No major weapons platforms, no significant fortifications. Kixmore laughed. 300 ships against 2,000. They cannot possibly win. What the aliens did not see were the thousands of hidden weapons throughout the solar system. Captain Hyun-jung and her crews waited silently in the asteroid belt, watching the huge alien fleet approach. Their weapons were powered down, their systems quiet, invisible to alien sensors. All stations. This is Admiral Jin Ho, came the voice on the radio. Wait for my signal, let them get close, let them think they have already won. The Imperial fleet moved deeper into the solar system, confident in their overwhelming advantage. They had done this so many times before. The enemy would see their massive fleet and surrender immediately. No one was stupid enough to fight when they were outnumbered 6-1, but humanity had never been known for being smart. They were known for being stubborn. Dr. Jaemin watched the alien ships on his sensors. Admiral, they are in position. All hidden weapons have clear shots. Admiral Jin Ho looked around the command center at his officers. These men and women had spent their lives preparing for this moment. Today they would find out if their preparations were enough. All stations, Jin Ho said into his communicator. This is Admiral Jin Ho. The enemy has come to destroy our world. They have come to kill our families. They think we are weak. They think we will surrender. Today, we show them what humanity really is. All ships, all stations, attack. Throughout the solar system, hidden, weapons came online. What looked like empty space suddenly blazed with energy beams and missiles. The Imperial fleet found themselves surrounded by enemies they had never seen coming. Captain Yun-jung's weapons opened fire from the asteroid belt. Massive railguns that had been disguised as mining equipment sent projectiles the size of cars through space at incredible speed. The projectiles hit Imperial ships and punched completely through their hulls. Direct hits on enemy cruisers 7 through 12, reported her weapons officer. All targets destroyed. Dr. Jamin's shield-canceling weapons hit their targets perfectly. Imperial dreadnoughts that had never been damaged suddenly found their shields failing. Human energy beams burned through their armor like paper. The aliens tried to return fire, but they could not target enemies they could not see. The human weapons platforms looked like asteroids and space junk. Imperial targeting computers ignored them completely. "Where are they shooting from?" screamed Kixmore. "Where are the enemy weapons?" His tactical officer stared at his sensors in confusion. "Sir, the attacks are coming from everywhere, but I do not see any enemy ships, just asteroids and debris." Commander Wu Jin led the human fleet in hit-and-run attacks against the confused aliens. Human ships appeared from hiding places behind moons and planets, fired their weapons, and disappeared again before the aliens could respond. "Their formations are breaking apart," he reported to Admiral Jinho. "They do not know how to fight when they cannot see their enemy." The battle raged across the solar system for 18 hours. When it ended, the mighty Third Imperial Fleet was scattered wreckage floating in space. Of the 2,000 ships that had come to destroy Earth, only 300 escaped. Grand Admiral Kixmore sat in his damaged command center, staring at the ruin of his fleet. Around him, his officers tried to understand what had happened. "How did they do it?" he whispered. "How did primitives destroy the Third Fleet?" His communication officer received a message from Earth. It was in perfect Imperial language, spoken by a human female voice. "This is Captain Yun-jung of the Terran Defense Force. Your Emperor sent you here to destroy our world. You failed. When you return to your empire, tell them this. Earth remembers every world you have conquered." The news of the Third Fleet's destruction reached every corner of the Valaxian Empire within days. On 1,000 enslaved worlds, creatures that had given up hope began to whisper about the humans who had fought back and won. Admiral Jin Ho stood before the United Earth Assembly, addressing representatives from every nation on the planet. Behind him, a star map showed the Empire's territory in red. 300 star systems under alien control. Billions of enslaved beings waiting for someone to save them. "The Empire will send everything they have against us," Jin Ho said. "But we will not wait for them to come. We will take the fight to them. We will free every world they have conquered." The Russian representative raised his hand. "Admiral, you are talking about fighting across the entire galaxy. We are one planet against an empire." Jinho smiled. "We are one planet that just destroyed their largest fleet, and we will not be fighting alone." Dr. Hyejin activated the main screen. It showed intercepted Imperial communications from dozens of worlds. The messages were all the same. Enslaved species asking if the stories about Earth were true, if humans had really defeated the Empire, if liberation was possible. "For 50 years we have been listening to their communications," Dr. Hyejin explained. "We know which species hate their Imperial masters. We know which worlds are ready to rebel. We just need to give them hope." Commander Wu Jin commanded the 1st Terran Expeditionary Force. His flagship, the Incheon Liberator, was built using the best human and captured alien technology. It was faster than any Imperial ship, armed with weapons the aliens could not defend against. "Our first target is the Kelvin system," Wu Jin told his officers. "The Empire conquered it 6 months ago. The population is in slave camps. Imperial garrison is only 50 ships." Colonel Hanal prepared her liberation forces for their first off-world mission. Her soldiers were trained in fighting on alien worlds, freeing prisoners, and teaching other species how to use captured Imperial weapons. Remember, she told her troops, and we are not conquerors, we are liberators. We free the enslaved and give them the tools to stay free. The human fleet jumped into hyperspace, beginning humanity's first offensive war. But this was not a war of conquest. This was a war of liberation. Ambassador Minseo worked day and night sending secret messages to enslaved worlds throughout the Empire. The messages were simple. Earth remembers you. Earth is coming. Get ready to be free. The first target was Kelva Prime, a beautiful world of blue oceans and green forests. The Empire had conquered it to steal its rare minerals. The native Kelvans were forced to work in mines, digging up resources for Imperial ships. Commander Wu Jin's fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kelvin system. The Imperial garrison was caught completely by surprise. 50 alien ships faced 300 human vessels equipped with weapons that could penetrate any Imperial defense. This is Commander Wu Jin of the Terran Liberation Fleet. He broadcast, on all frequencies. Imperial forces, you have exactly 1 hour to evacuate this system. Any ship still here after that time will be destroyed. The Imperial commander laughed when he heard the message. 50 ships can easily defeat 300 primitives. All vessels, attack formation. The Imperial ships moved forward confidently. They had destroyed rebellions before. These humans would be no different. They were wrong. The human weapons fired with perfect accuracy. Dr. Jamin's shield-penetrating technology turned Imperial defenses into useless decoration. In 30 minutes, the entire Imperial garrison was destroyed or fleeing. Colonel Hanul led her forces to the surface of Kelva Prime. The Imperial ground troops surrendered immediately when they saw human soldiers equipped with armor and weapons they had never seen before. "Where are the slave camps?" Hanul asked the captured Imperial commander. The alien pointed toward the mountains with shaking hands. "North Valley, 50,000 prisoners." Hanul's forces reached the camps in 2 hours. What they found made every human soldier angry. Kelvin families separated and forced to work 18 hours a day. Children as young as 5 years old carrying heavy mining equipment. Sick and elderly Kelvins left to die without medical care. "Free them all," Hanul ordered. "Give them food, medicine, and weapons. It is time they fought back." The Kelvin leader was an old female named Scylla. She had been a scientist before the Empire came. Now she was just prisoner number 47291. "You are humans?" she asked Hanul through a translator device. "Yes. We came to free you and give you the tools to stay free." Scylla's eyes filled with tears. "We heard stories. We heard that someone fought the Empire and won. We thought it was just a dream." "It is not a dream," Hanul said. "It is real, and now you can be free too." The humans left behind weapons, ships, and training instructors. When they departed, Kelva Prime was defended by its own people using Imperial technology captured in the battle. But humanity's greatest weapon was not their technology. It was their communication network. Specialist young Me had spent 10 years learning how to break Imperial computer codes. When the human fleet captured enemy ships, she downloaded everything. Star charts, communication, codes, military plans, and most importantly, the locations of every enslaved world. "Admiral," she reported to Jinho from her computer station, "I have accessed the Imperial database. I know where every slave world is located. I know which species are imprisoned there. I know how many Imperial ships guard each system." Jinho studied the data, 300 star systems, over 500 enslaved species, billions of prisoners waiting for freedom. "How long to free them all?" he asked. "At our current rate, 18 months, Young Me replied. "But sir, something interesting is happening. Other species are starting to fight back on their own." The liberation of Kelva Prime had been broadcast on Imperial communication networks. Every enslaved world received the message, humans were coming, to free everyone. Hope spread through the galaxy like fire. On Theta 7, the reptilian Morvans rose up against their Imperial masters. On New Rigel, the insect-like Zentorians attacked Imperial mining operations. On Proxima Station, Human-sized mammals called Aldorians sabotaged the Imperial fleet base. Each rebellion was crushed quickly, but the message was clear. The Empire could no longer count on the obedience of their slaves. Emperor Thexmar received reports of rebellions on 50 worlds in 1 week. His advisors were terrified. The Empire had never faced anything like this before. "The humans are spreading rebellion everywhere they go," reported his intelligence chief. "They give weapons and training to every species they free. They are building an army of liberated worlds." Thexmar slammed his fist on his throne. "How many ships do we have left?" 8,000, my lord. The humans have destroyed nearly half our fleet. Gather them all. Every ship. Every weapon. Every soldier. We will crush these humans and their rebellion once and for all. Captain Dong Wook commanded the human stealth scouts that monitored Imperial space. His ships were invisible to alien sensors, allowing them to watch Imperial fleet movements without being detected. "Admiral," he reported to Jinho, "the Empire is gathering every ship they have. All 8,000 vessels are moving toward their capital system. They are preparing for a final battle." Jinho looked at the tactical display. 8,000 Imperial ships against humanity's fleet of 600 vessels. But humanity was not fighting alone anymore. Commander Wu Jin had liberated 47 star systems. Each freed world contributed ships, weapons, and soldiers to the liberation fleet. The reptilian Morvans were excellent pilots. The insect Xantaurians built incredibly strong armor. The mammalian Aldorians were natural engineers who improved human weapon designs. "How many ships do we have total?" Jinho asked. 3,000 human vessels, 4,000 allied ships from liberated worlds, reported Fleet Admiral Kyung-soo. "The aliens still outnumber us, but we have better technology and our allies fight for their freedom." Dr. Hyojin completed her final project, a communication network that connected every free world in the galaxy. No species would ever be isolated again. No empire would ever be able to conquer worlds without the rest of the galaxy knowing about it. "Admiral, the network is ready. Every free world can communicate instantly with every other free world. If the Empire tries to attack anyone, help will come immediately." The stage was set for the final battle. The Empire had gathered every ship for one last attempt to crush the rebellion. Humanity and their allies prepared to face them at the Imperial capital. But this would not just be a battle between fleets. This would be a battle between two ideas: conquest and freedom. The Empire believed that the strong should rule the weak. Humanity believed that everyone deserved to be free. The fate of the galaxy would be decided by which idea was stronger. Ambassador Min Seo sent one final message to Emperor Thexmar before the battle began. "Your empire ends now. Surrender, and your people will be treated fairly. Fight, and we will tear down everything you have built. The choice is yours." Thexmar's reply was simple: "The Empire does not surrender to primitives." Jinho read the Emperor's response and nodded. "Then we will free the galaxy by force. All ships prepare for the final battle. Today we end the Empire forever." The Liberation Fleet jumped toward the Imperial capital, carrying the hopes of 1 billion enslaved beings. The Imperial capital system of Valaxia Prime had never seen an enemy fleet in its entire history. For 1,000 years, it had been the safest place in the galaxy. Now 8,000 Imperial ships surrounded the planet like a steel wall, waiting for the rebels who dared to challenge the Empire. Emperor Thexmar stood on the bridge of his personal dreadnought, the Imperial Eternity. The ship was larger than a city, armed with weapons that could destroy planets. Around him floated the pride of the Imperial Navy, ships that had conquered 300 worlds, weapons that had enslaved 1,000 species. "Where are they?" Thexmar demanded. "Where are these humans who think they can destroy my empire?" His sensor officer checked his equipment nervously. "My lord, long-range sensors detect a large fleet approaching. 7,000 ships. They will arrive in 6 hours." Thexmar smiled coldly. "Only 7,000? I expected more from these rebels. When they arrive, we will crush them completely." But the Emperor did not know what Fleet Admiral Kyung-soo had learned during 47 liberation campaigns. He did not know that sometimes the best weapon is not the biggest gun, but the smartest plan. The Liberation Fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Valaxian system. 7,000 ships from dozens of different species, all united by one goal: freedom. Human vessels sailed alongside Kelvin cruisers, Morven fighters, and Zentorian heavy assault ships. Kyung-Soo stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at the massive Imperial fleet ahead. Signal all ships, begin Operation Free Galaxy. Specialist, Young Mi activated her computer systems and began the most important hack in galactic history. For 2 years, she had studied Imperial technology. She knew their computer systems better than they did. Admiral, I am accessing Imperial communication networks now, sending liberation broadcasts to all enslaved worlds in the Empire. Across the galaxy on 300 enslaved worlds, every communication device suddenly carried the same message. It was Admiral Jin Ho speaking in dozens of languages. People of the galaxy, this is Admiral Jin Ho of Earth. Today we fight the final battle against the Empire. Today we free everyone, rise up, fight back, help is coming. The effect was immediate. On every Imperial world, enslaved species attacked their guards. Prison camps erupted in revolt. Slave workers seized Imperial weapons and turned them against their masters. Emperor Thexmar watched in horror as rebellion spread across his entire empire. How are they communicating with our slaves? How are they organizing revolts on every world at once? His communication officer stared at his screen in disbelief. My lord, they have somehow accessed our entire network. Every world in the Empire is receiving their message. Dr. Heejin's communication network was more than just a way for free worlds to talk to each other. It was a weapon that could inspire rebellion anywhere in the galaxy. The space battle began when Captain Dong-wook led his stealth squadron in a surprise attack on the Imperial command ships. The aliens never saw the human vessels coming until their flagship exploded. Imperial fleet, this is Captain Dong-wook, he broadcast. Your empire is finished. Surrender now and we will treat you fairly. Fight and we will destroy you completely. Thexmar screamed with rage. All ships, attack, kill them all. The Imperial fleet charged forward like an avalanche of metal and death, but the Liberation fleet was ready for them. Commander Wu Jin commanded the Allied vessels with perfect coordination. Human ships provided long-range fire support, while Morven fighters engaged in close combat. Centaurian heavy cruisers formed an unbreakable wall of armor and guns. Their formations are breaking apart, reported his tactical officer. The Morvens are too fast for them. The Centaurians are too strong. They cannot adapt to fighting so many different species at once. Dr. Jamin's shield-penetrating technology worked perfectly. Imperial dreadnoughts that had never been damaged found their defenses useless against Liberation Fleet weapons. Ships that had destroyed entire worlds exploded like fireworks. But the real battle was not in space. It was on the Imperial homeworld itself. Colonel Hanul led the ground assault on Valaxia Prime. Her mixed force of humans and liberated species landed on the planet while the space battle raged overhead. Their mission was simple: capture Emperor Thexmar alive. The Imperial Palace is heavily defended, reported her intelligence officer. 10,000 guards, automated defense systems, energy barriers. Hanul smiled. Good thing we brought friends. The assault force included the best soldiers from every liberated world. Kelvin sappers who could disable any electronic system. Morven commandos who could fly through enemy defenses. Centaurian warriors whose natural armor could stop Imperial weapons. The battle for the palace lasted 6 hours. When it ended, Emperor Thexmar sat in chains, surrounded by the species he had spent his life enslaving. You cannot do this to me, he said. I am the Emperor of 300 worlds. Hanul looked at him with cold eyes. You were the Emperor. Now you are just another war criminal waiting for trial. In space, the Imperial fleet was collapsing. Without their Emperor's command ship, without communication with their homeworld, the aliens lost all coordination. Ship after ship surrendered, or fled into deep space. Fleet Admiral Kyung-Soo faced the hardest decision of the war. With the Empire defeated, humanity could take control of the galaxy. Earth could become the new Imperial capital. Humans could rule over the species they had, Liberated. Admiral, said his tactical officer. The Imperial fleet is surrendering. We have won. What are your orders? Kyung-soo thought about Admiral Jin-ho's words before the battle. We fight not to conquer, but to free. We fight not to rule, but to protect. Signal all ships, Kyung-soo said. Accept their surrender, begin prisoner processing. And send a message to all liberated worlds. The Empire is finished. You are free to govern yourselves. Captain Dong-wook captured the Emperor's personal files from the Imperial computer systems. What he found horrified everyone. Records of destroyed civilizations, lists of extinct species, plans for enslaving even more worlds. Admiral, you need to see this, he reported to Kyung-soo. The Empire has destroyed over 50 intelligent species completely, wiped them out of existence, and they were planning to do the same to us. Ambassador Minseo worked with representatives from every liberated world to establish something the galaxy had never seen before. A confederation based on voluntary cooperation instead of forced submission. Each world governs itself, she explained to the delegates. Each species makes its own choices, but we all agree to help each other if anyone is attacked. No empire will ever rise again. Dr. Hyojin's communication network became the foundation of the new galactic government. Every world could talk to every other world instantly. Every species could share knowledge and culture freely. Information wants to be free, she told the conference. When people can communicate, they can understand each other. When they understand each other, they do not want to fight. The trial of Emperor Thexmar became the most watched event in galactic history. Representatives from 300 worlds came to see the former ruler answer for his crimes. Judge Sang-woo, a human legal expert, read the charges: genocide against 53 species, enslavement of over 500 worlds, destruction of countless civilizations. How do you plead? Thexmar looked around the courtroom at the faces of species he had oppressed. I did what was necessary to maintain order. The strong rule, the weak. That is the natural way. The natural way, said Judge Sang-woo, is for all beings to be free. The sentence was life imprisonment on a remote world, guarded by representatives of every species he had harmed. He would spend his remaining years thinking about the civilization he had destroyed and the better galaxy that was being built without him. 1 year after the fall of the Empire, Admiral Jin-ho stood on Earth looking up at the stars. The galaxy was free. Every species could choose its own path. The strong protected the weak instead of conquering them. Was it worth it? Asked Dr. Hyojin, joining him on the observation deck. Jin-ho smiled. Look at the communication traffic. Look at the trade between worlds. Look at the scientific discoveries being shared freely. The galaxy is more alive now than it has been in 1,000 years. Commander Wu Jin commanded a new type of fleet. Ships designed not for war, but for exploration and protection. The Liberation Fleet had become the Guardian Fleet, making sure that no new empire could arise. We have requests for help from 12 systems this week, he reported. Pirates in the Outer Rim, a trade dispute in the core worlds, nothing we cannot handle. Captain Dong-wook led the deep space exploration missions, searching for species that the Empire had missed. Every few months, his scouts found another civilization that had hidden from Imperial expansion. Admiral, we found them, he reported excitedly. The Etherians. The Empire thought they were extinct, but they have been hiding in a nebula for 300 years. They want to join the Confederation. The memorial on Earth grew larger every year. It listed every world the Empire had destroyed, every species that had been lost forever. But next to each name was another list, the worlds that had been saved, the species that were now free. Dr. Hyojin's final project was not a weapon, but a school. The Galactic Institute brought together the best minds from every species to share knowledge and solve problems together.